Orange County, California, comes singer, poet, and MC Frosty, an indigenous Chicana artist blending soul, hip hop, and spoken word with sharp lyricism and cultural resistance. Her latest single, Tallos Moldeados, is a bold statement showcasing her Spanish singing abilities. Frosty is known for delivering truth within every bar and every lyric in both English and Spanish. A genre-defying artist, she has standout projects such as Extracelestial System, All Pulp No Fiction, and her debut project, All Frost No Ice. Through these projects, she showcases her continual artistic growth and her unwavering commitment to conscious lyricism. Tune in to learn about her journey in music, what she's currently working on, and what she's got coming next. At 4 o'clock LA, 7 o'clock US. Let's bring her in.
What's up? How's it going?
Peace, Frosty. An honor to have you on. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And shout out to you for doing your research and all the promo. I respect it. The hustle is
Girl,
real.
your promo was so easy. I ran out of space. I needed like 5 minutes instead of 60 seconds. You had so many dope images
Thank
that I
you.
kept finding. I kept finding new, and like I was like, man, she's got incredible visuals.
Thank you. No, yeah, I appreciate that. That's something that I've tried to elevate as my art has progressed, making sure that my visuals have too. So I appreciate the feedback on that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you have great imagery, a lot of meaning that's kind of built into all of the not only music but also the visuals. You have an incredible show today. I want to make sure that we plug that and that we talk about all of the things you're passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm performing today at 7 p.m. at the Harriet Submit Center, which is in Los Angeles. And this is an emergency food and fundraiser for the people over in Gaza who are currently, resisting genocide, and they're being ethnically cleansed, and, they are not receiving humanitarian aid. And there's just so many difficult, horrible things happening. And even though it's on the other side of the world, it's something that I am passionate about, and I want to make sure that I'm vocal about my solidarity with the Palestinian people, especially as an indigenous artist, someone who represents being Chicana, Mexica. I see a lot of parallels between the plight of the Palestinian people, similar to the Native American plight and the genocide that happened here only a few hundred years ago. So that's something I really wanted to support. And yeah, there's lots of information on a flyer on my page. You can donate even if you can't attend. But I will be handing out Frosty tote bags to everyone who attends, just as a thank you for coming. And yeah, I'm really excited to perform there and hold space. And there's going to be art from photojournalists who took photos of some of the very grave situations over there. And there'll also be art displayed by displaced children who had to leave the area due to the uncertainty and the violence happening over there. So I just want to support in any way that I can. So I appreciate you taking the time to plug this to your followers as well as mine. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there if you can make it.
That's awesome. And if people wanted to get tickets or donate, where's the right place for them to go?
So there is a flyer on my page. You can also DM me directly and I can send you the link to the flyer. They have Zelle, Venmo, and then Chuffed, which is an alternative to GoFundMe, just because Chuffed is a little bit more pro-Pali, so that's a good way to donate as well. But yeah, you can message me directly. The information is also on the flyer. If you just swipe on my feed, you should be able to see the flyer for the Save Gaza event and the Venmo QR codes.
That's awesome. And it's amazing that you use your artistry to help people in every way, not only by performing but by the message and the music. It's really
Yeah,
dope.
definitely. And I feel like it is, there's a quote by Nina Simone that I really enjoy and inspired by. It goes, an artist's duty is to reflect the times. So I feel like, once again, it is my duty as an artist to talk about the things, the struggles that are happening day to day in this current climate. So yeah, I want to do my part. I like the saying that is, nobody can do everything, but everyone can do
That's
something.
dope.
So I'm just trying to do my part, using my platform in any way, shape, or form that I can. And yeah, just staying true to myself along the way too.
Yeah. It your your music reflects, well, you're genre defying, right? So you've got like basically you're like your own radio station with every type of music that you
My
want.
old radio station. Thanks,
But
I love
keeping
it.
on the, keeping on the same tip of the
Mhm.
conscious lyrics, when did that start for you? You when we go back to All Frost Snow Ice, it's present there. But earlier, is there spoken word? Is there other writings? Like, when did this start for you?
Yeah, so I did start with spoken word. That was my gateway
Your
into
gateway
music,
drug.
my gateway drug into music, spoken word at open mics. And I've always been a very quiet person in school, so I would express myself through journals, and that eventually led to writing my own poetry and then reciting it at open mics and then meeting musicians at open mics and then collaborating and then took on a whole life of its own. But yeah, I do pride myself in not containing my artistry in a box. People call me a rapper or singer, and I appreciate those. I add them as um,
Yeah, little
little pins.
badges.
Yeah, little pins. I rep those, but I also want to not limit myself in my artistry to one particular genre.
Yeah,
So that being said, as you mentioned, I've kind of tried different things, and really just it's a form of expression. So if I hear something and I'm inspired by it, I'm gonna try to create something, similar or my own version of what I heard and enjoyed. So yeah, I've done a corrido tumbado, which is Tallos Moldeados. That one I wrote years ago, but I just kind of had it in the vault. I made a music video for it, but I never actually released it. So I just wanted to release it on all streaming platforms. And yeah, I do a lot of conscious hip hop, some like kind of jazzy R&B things as well. And yeah, I got some more stuff up my sleeve I'm excited to share with you all in the future.
that's the now Tallos Moldeados, you're like all completely in Spanish on that
Mm-hmm.
track. But then you'll flip it in English, and then you'll flip it like in English and Spanish, really using all of your tools, singing, rapping, multilingual, spoken word. How do you follow, like, for instance, Extra Celestial Systems, right? Now that's a very different sounding album.
Mm-hmm.
What motivates you, to kind of do different type genres? Like, what's the idea? Like, what's the inspiration behind that? Do you just focus in? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so it really depends on my current life experience and the things that I'm going through. So, Extra Celestial Systems was more of an internal, introspective sort of project. I feel like when I first started, similar to a lot of artists, you kind of have to, I don't want to say show off, but I feel like it's very braggadocious when you first start off in rap, like I'm the
Yeah,
best, this and that. And that's cool because it can be an art form in itself too, boost your ego. But with Extra Celestial Systems, I wanted to really look inward and talk about different things. I have a song about being addicted to social media, to the internet.
yeah,
So I thought that was I feel like I've seen visual art expressing that struggle, but I've never heard a song expressing that struggle. So that's something that I really wanted to do. And yeah, it's really just kind of complex ideas or emotions that I have no other way to express. I really sit with them, ponder them, and try to release them via lyricism and
yeah.
a beat.
Yeah. And yeah, I think you're right when, especially like in hip hop, it's like about, well, can she rap? Does she have bars? So when you
Hmm.
first came out, you were showing like, I'm here.
Hmm.
And then, your some other singles and albums were more experimental and kind of going into other aspects of your creativity.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Hip hop, they want to
Yeah.
like, does she have it? Does she have the
Yeah.
sauce? And you do, and you
Hmm.
do, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's important to, while, boosting yourself, to boost your culture, boost the things that you believe in, which are equally as beneficial to whatever movement that you stand for. So I wanted to not only represent myself, but represent my culture, people with similar values. So I think that's really important and something that you will be hearing a lot more on my next projects for sure.
That's dope. And to make sure that like we capture it here, um, in your own words, like what is that culture? What is your background? What is it that you're representing?
Yeah, so I'm a Chicana, third generation Mexican American, and I'm reconnecting to my indigenous roots. So that is something that you can hear in my music and that I'm very passionate about. indigenous sovereignty, empowering indigenous cultures, elders, learning from your elders, and yeah, so that's kind of what I represent in my music, and it's something that I want to lean into respectfully because I know there's a fine line between um, reconnecting and then appropriating. So trying to do that respectfully in collaboration with local tribes in the area. Shout out to the Quiche, Ashaman, Tongva here in Orange County. And yeah, so Chicana, Mexicana, MC, Mexica, Indigenous. There's so many different layers of identity, right?
Absolutely.
Similar to my artistry. I don't want to box myself in and say I'm with this one thing. I'm like an onion. There's lots of layers, lots of identities. I'm peeling them back one at a time. But yeah, it's important for me to represent that if I'm going to represent that to do so um, truthfully and in a positive light. So yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. And I think that there's a lot of people that could relate to that. And through your art, you're giving them a medium that they can like listen to and see visuals of something that's a part of their reality also. I think that, being Latino, I have indigenous blood in me. You could look at my mom and see that. And I relate to that. I connect to that also. And I think there's
Mm-hmm.
millions of people like us,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you with the mic and with the pen are able to give them something to listen to, a soundtrack,
Mm-hmm.
right? That kind of helps them have maybe ideas and terms
Mm-hmm.
and images that they could
Yeah.
relate to. So that's really
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, thank you. And something to note, I remember when I was in school, I don't know if it was a professor or someone mentioned that every sort of revolutionary time had a soundtrack behind it. So I like to think of myself in that way, not like on a pill or anything,
Hmm.
but with that mindset of, okay, this is what's happening.
Hmm.
How can I create music that will reflect the current political climate? And yeah, hopefully other people can connect to that and appreciate it. And that's something that I've been told. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from different people, both here on this side of the border and on the other side of the border. Especially being the fact that I'm challenging myself to write in
Yeah.
Spanish more often, so that other people can understand me, so my grandparents can understand me. That's actually one of the reasons why I created my first song, Viaje de Valor, in Spanish, was so that my grandma could listen to a song of mine and understand it and appreciate it. So, yeah, just kind of staying true to my roots and being open to evolving as well.
Yeah. That's really cool too because we're talking about the roots and culture and ancient culture, and but hip hop's kind of new, and this type of sound is kind of new, and social
Hmm.
media and everything. So it's
Hmm.
fusing,
Yeah.
the past, the DNA with the current technology and platforms. So it's
Yeah.
really dope.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that actually it was inspired extra celestial systems, which I know is a tongue twister, but extra celestial systems, because our ancestors, the ancient Mesoamericans, they were very tapped in and observant of the
Yeah.
stars and all of that. So it's something that I wanted to connect to, both as above, so below, so to speak, and yeah, that juxtaposition of the past and the future and blending both worlds. So not being stuck in the past, but learning from it while also preparing for the future, which is why Extra Celestial Systems was kind of had like a spacey vibe to it. And that's
Yeah,
something
you
that
got
I
the whole
definitely,
astronaut helmet.
yeah,
Like it's
I
all the way out of
did.
space.
I did. We was out there, another
Yeah, and
galaxy for sure.
so definitely time travel music. And the pyramids, like they're not randomly in random places. I mean, when you really
Mm-hmm.
go deep, you realize that there's so much we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't understand it all yet because they had information
Mm-hmm.
that the
Yeah.
way the history is currently captured, they shouldn't have had that information, right? But they knew they had
Mm-hmm.
knowledge that
Yeah.
we're just peeling back now.
Yeah, definitely knowledge is power, and that's one of the reasons why I try to talk about like Guatemoc, Tonantzin, Quetzalcoatl in some of my lyrics to pay homage to the ancient, um, I don't want to say deities or gods because there is controversy. People say that, we worship multiple gods, but that I feel like is once again putting us in a box to say that we worship people when we really could see people as symbols, like this person represents this person represents
Right.
that. But that being said, yeah, we were a very advanced culture, and we had codices, and they were burned by the Spaniards. So
Yeah.
just something to kind of keep in mind, that knowledge is power, and sharing that knowledge, spreading it, is an act of resistance as well. So I try to do that in my music, whenever I can.
That's dope. That's dope. You
Mhm.
hinted at things coming up, like new stuff. Is there anything you could share with us that's, new, frosty, crispy, icy, new? What's new? What you have
That new
coming?
new.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
new.
That new. So I do have a project coming out in about 2 weeks, May 29th. So stick around. And it's going to be different. I feel like it's going to be unexpected. But I tried to kind of segue into it with Tallos Moldeados. So it's going to be an all Spanish project. It's more of an EP, and it's going to be different. So it's not necessarily the rapper Frosty a lot of people are accustomed to, but as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to box myself in creatively. It's something that took me years to write and create as well. So I'm very proud of this project. It's called Te Conocí, dropping May 29th, and my first project entirely in Spanish. And yeah, it's going to be here for the world to listen to in just a few weeks.
That's so dope. Um, You speak Spanish really good. Like in your lyrics, I don't know in
Hmm.
conversational, but like
Hmm.
in Tallos Moldeados, for instance, right? You have like perfect enunciation. You got lyrics where you're like start rapping in Spanish. Did
Hmm.
you learn Spanish at home? How did you learn Spanish so well?
Yeah, so Spanish was my first language. My great grandma and my grandma took care of me as a young girl, but unfortunately, I had to kind of assimilate to American society, and I stopped speaking it as often as I should. That being said, my Spanish in conversation isn't as nice as I would like it to be.
Right.
I can understand it very well. There's just some things that are a little bit difficult for me, and I think that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So that's something I definitely want to be more conscious of, is to continue to speak Spanish more often, so that way I can be a little bit more of a native speaker and hold a conversation without feeling a little awkward. When it comes to writing, though, I do have to, like, sometimes, not gonna lie, go to Google Translate, be like, how do you say this word? Because I really wasn't sure. Or sometimes I'll ask my family, my grandma or my mom, am I saying this correctly? So yeah, just like with anything, practice makes perfect, and I think that even writing in Spanish is helping me in my conversational skills as well.
Yeah, because it's different. The
Yeah,
romance, yeah, you put sentences, it's just different than
yeah,
English.
yeah, and even in music too, like in lyrics, things aren't necessarily grammatically correct. You can make them rhyme, but they might not be grammatically correct. But it's a song, so you kind of don't need to stick to the rules. So
Yeah.
I feel as though things that can apply to Spanish as well. But I'm trying to do my due diligence and make sure that I am saying things correctly. I do make a handful of little slip ups here and there, but that's art, right? It's not gonna be perfect. But yeah, they say that oftentimes we're our own worst critics. So hearing you say that I have good Spanish pronunciation in my songs is surprising to me, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was born and raised in the U.S. and but then I wound up living in Latin America. So I know what it's like to kind of grow up understanding everything and kind of speaking machucado, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? But then
Mm-hmm.
I wound up going to high school, and my dad's from Chile. So I went to high school in Chile
Mm-hmm.
and like had to survive. I had to learn, right?
Oh
And
wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So then so now I speak, but I know what it's like growing up here and
Mhm.
like speaking,
Yeah, a little bit choppy.
all the way choppy,
As
all
long
the way
as
like
long as you can get your point across, that's all that matters. But
yeah,
yeah, we want to try. I definitely need to try and do better. But hey, it's more than most.
yeah. Now for the production on your new album Te Conocí, talk to us about the production. Who's behind the production?
Yeah, so this one is not gonna be like a hip hop album. So it is a live instrument,
That's dope.
just me and a guitar. So shout out to the guitarist Oscar Rodriguez, and shout out to David Garcia, who was the audio and engineer who recorded us, and then Brian Gomez, who mixed and mastered the tracks. So yeah, there's not I guess production in the sense of a beat, but there is production in recording the audio, mixing and mastering it, and then obviously the guitarist and vocalist as well. But yeah, it was definitely every project is different to go in and record in the studio, and that's something that I've been experimenting with as well. The recording process, because I feel like performing art is a different art in itself, and then recording art
Yeah.
is completely different. So trying to be good at both and master both is something that I've practiced with each project, and doing things not really rushed. Sometimes I set deadlines and I bite off more than I can chew, and then I'm late with the deadline. So just kind of creating at my own pace, and perfecting it as much as I can, right? Not over editing it, because sometimes you get caught in this loop of criticizing yourself and your music, and you just never end up releasing it. So
Yeah.
trying to stay centered in my art, and realize I put all this time and effort into it. It's time to release it. And yeah, May 29th, Te Conocí. It's on the way.
That's So now, we opened up immediately and talked about how you've had so many dope visuals. And I had so much fun putting together the little intro video for this because you had great photos, great music videos, a lot of color, a lot of, meaning within imagery. Have you thought about, or are you already working on videos for the new album?
Yes, I actually had a conversation with my creative director this week, and I do have some visuals ready for it, in regards to photography and a little bit of videography, but I definitely want to create another music video, so to speak, for uh, one of the tracks in Te Conocí. So that is on the way. And yeah, I want to give a shout out to Paris, who has been my creative director. She directed Not Exotic. She directed Us versus Them, and she has really just been a backbone of my visuals. I love her mind, and to me, I'm a very loyal person, so I've been using the same
Yeah.
producer, Brian BTE, for since one of my first songs I ever created. I'm using the same creative director, Paris, for my visuals. So, that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I really
Yeah.
enjoy them. I have a good working relationship with them. So it's nice to kind of have that artistic community at my side, helping one another out. And yeah, so visuals are on the way.
That's dope. That's dope. And you're right. I mean, you guys have the team that's working with you. You're creating very high quality and dope music and imagery and music videos. So yeah, don't if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
It's a whole
yeah.
vibe. You got a whole thing going
Mhm.
on. You
Yeah,
know.
thank you. I appreciate that. And it is a lot of work too. I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. One of them, for example, is like for every visual, sometimes I have to go and buy
Hmm.
outfits, see if they work. If not, return them, or buy props,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and then
Yeah.
return them, or just setting things up, getting people on the same schedule, and having 10-hour days filming, 12-hour days filming, for Us versus Them. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love, and I think that you can see the effort in the final product.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be mindful. I know you have a performance in LA. You're gonna
Mhm.
come rock the mic, and it's for an incredible cause. We had talked before, the interview, that we wanted to make sure that we did this in a little bit more timely
Mhm.
because I could talk with you for hours. We'll run it back at some point in the future, But as we start to wrap up, any gems that you want to drop for people that are things that inspire you?
So, any gems that I have for people, don't be afraid to speak up. I know, especially in this, current climate, there's so much going on in the world, and really, it's important to stand up for what you believe in. If you don't stand for anything if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that it's important that we empower the youth to be themselves and to make those real world connections in real life, not be so caught up on social media. And yeah, there's a lot of power in chipping away and working on something for a long time, as opposed to doing something and expecting that instant gratification. Sometimes we get caught up on the end goal that we forget about the journey. But I think it's this book I read, Atomic Habits. You have to fall in love with the systems,
Yeah,
not the goal, because there's always going to be another goal. So if you want something, you obtain it, and then there's always going to be something else. So just fall in love with the process, that your day-to-day routines, create a life that is worth living, and finding the right people to empower yourself with, which I know finding good friends can be difficult sometimes in this world, but if you find them, don't let them go. And yeah,
that's dope. You
what I
just
got.
dropped you just dropped like all the
All
gems.
the gems, all the gems. Yeah.
Frosty, it's an honor to have you on the Cristopolis show. Have an incredible
Thank
show today.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you so
I look forward
much.
to building.
Thank you. Yeah, I look forward to maybe having another interview, and I hope you have a beautiful Saturday, everyone. Don't forget, I'm performing at the Harriet Summit Center, Emergency Food and Water Fundraiser. You can check out ways to donate, even if you can't attend, at the flyer on my page. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you. Peace.
Bye.